My name is Dr. Meredith McGuire, professor of sociology and anthropology at Trinity University. I appeared before the Zoning Commission on February 18th, speaking on behalf of the Alamo Group of the Sierra Club, and I am providing you now with each with a copy of the Sierra Club's letter to the Mayor and City Council, as well as the Zoning Commission members. One part of that letter is also highly relevant to the ongoing issue of the residents of 1515 Mission Road who spoke at that same commission meeting. And I quote, "The city of San Antonio needs to restructure the entire COSA process for development and rezoning applications. It is not in the best interests of the community for COSA staff to be using city monies to guide and support the wrong kinds of development, driven by financial interests. I would add parenthetically, rather than the interests of longtime San Antonio residents, as in the case of the Mission Road families. This inappropriate use of our tax dollars results in long-term changes that work against the city's stated goals for urban renewal and environmentally sustainable living. We respectfully request that the city staff and commissions be directed to defend the common good, not the private interests that hurt the common good. The commission must change the process for development so that it truly supports the greater good of all San Antonio." End quote. I urge the Planning Commission, likewise, to change its processes for development. And specifically, in response to Mr. Harris's question a while ago, I think one of the things that you might do is to pay attention to how COSA staff is involving the other voices in this. For example, the Sierra Club and those of us who are working as volunteers on behalf of other constituents in this city, whose voices need help before it gets to the Planning Commission and gets to the stage of people like the Mission Road residents. So we need to have a change in the way people are notified, including those who would speak against the development. San Antonio must prioritize protection of all citizens' well-being rather than allow land speculators and voracious commercial development to cause homelessness. Our city does not need high-end housing for top-income households nearly so much as it needs much more energy-efficient, affordable housing for middle and working-class families. If you want to learn more about how to realize that goal, I and some others in this room would be glad to share the information and ideas that we've been working on. I applaud the environmental and recreational improvements that the Mission Reach project has accomplished, but for it to be genuinely renewal, San Antonio must not unjustly displace those who lived there when it was a less desirable part of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. Lastly, I believe this is Mr. Hernandez.
Epifanio Hernandez.
Okay, sir.
Okay, ask you all.
Sir, if you just your name and address.
My name is Epifanio Hernandez. I am the liaison to the Mission Indians, representative to the World Heritage nomination. And I'd like to ask you guys, are y'all currently residents and how long have y'all been? You know, I want to say, in a newspaper article back in 1898, the Harper's magazine, there was a column that was written about some Mission Indians. Where did they get replaced? Where did they get displaced? Well, they send them up and down the river. And these people are called the people of the Alazan, right? And they live in housing projects like Casianos, San Juan Courts, the Alazan Apache Courts. You know, these are projects, okay? Well, myself, I grew up in the missions. I walked the missions. I lived there. You know, my families lived there. They worked there. They died there, and they were buried there. Now, I may not know these residents here, but I know what they're going through. Because our families were removed in 1936 when the San Antonio Conservation Society decided to renovate the missions. They said that they were ruins, but our family still lived there in the ruins. I have a deed dating back to 1877 that my families, the Pachecos, the Guerreros, the Huizas, I'm sure y'all have heard of those names. We have deeds from 1877 living in the mission still. But they said that we were not living there anymore. Now, as recently as 1990, 1992 to be exact, our families were removed from the missions again. 1990s now. So how can you base this? And how can you move these people out based on development? Because that's what it is. Why don't y'all give them a place there? If you're gonna renovate the area, renovate it and put a place for them. They don't need to be displaced anymore. I had a cousin of mine, I talked to him, and I asked him, it was just a question, I asked him, hey Richard, where did you live before this? And he says, this is the only home I ever had, and that was in the mission San Jose. He said, don't you ever ask me again. You know, but he was one of the families last removed from the mission San Jose. Yes, San Jose mission. It's hard to believe, right? But now that this development is going on, I don't point fingers at anybody. This is just history repeating itself. I just want to say that, and I want to ask you guys to really look at this over. You know, you guys want to be removing people just to gentrify our neighborhood. You know, come on. This is not right. This is not right. It's been done over and over again. You know, you say 200 feet, that's to 300 years compared to that? Come on, guys. Our history goes way further than that. And we continue to have that fight with you guys. Please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Okay, I've run through my list of citizens we heard. I know there's several that walked in late. I'll give you an opportunity at this moment to speak. If there's any else that would like to.
My name is Marisol Cortez. I reside at 239 South Home in District 5. I don't have anything prepared, but just want to echo the testimony of the residents and supporters as well. We think it's a profound disrespect that they were treated as though they were invisible, as though they don't live there, as though this isn't going to impact them. We don't understand how a planning process that aims to rezone land in a way that would result in the mass displacement of long-term residents could be allowed. I understand that it's legal, I understand that, but I don't understand how it can be ethical or right for that to come up and you not think to even notify or question whether the management of that property has notified the residents and to look into the details of who will be impacted. We feel really angry, and we feel our hearts are really heavy knowing what many families are going through. And we ask that your processes be changed so that this never happens again. That the prospect of this kind of displacement and forced relocation never cross your desk without you looking into it and having a discussion about it. It should never have come to an anonymous approval. That just boggles our mind. And we know it's at a different point in the process now. We're moving on to city council, but I'm here to support the residents who felt that they wanted to come and share with you what their experience is, and we support them in their fight for their homes and to stay where they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Is there anybody else? Okay, let's move on to part 2.